Okay, Johnny J later ended up suing Death Row Records. He claims that he co-wrote and helped produce 11 songs on All Eyes on Me. He was never paid a $100,000 advance, which he was promised, and he also stated that he was promised a per song royalty of 3% that he never received. Can you speak on the lawsuit with him or the allegations that he was making?
Yeah, I never reviewed the paperwork. I know I saw an interview with Johnny J. Who said he did 11 songs on Thug Life album. I don't remember Johnny J doing 11 songs on All Eyes on Me. Never said and went to it, but I'm sure he did, if that's what the lawsuit claimed. But I also just find it funny that he was upset about not being paid on 11 songs on Thug Life. And as he admitted in that interview, if any of y'all never saw it, he said, I had problems getting, or the record, I never really got paid because I had too many samples in the music. He talked about the issues with the samples. And that's what Johnny J issue is, y'all. He have too many samples in the songs. But okay, let me give y'all a game. So, oh yeah, but he was around there every day working. Well, you be around every day working because you're trying to get what? Placement is why you go where you trying to get on the album. The artist is the one to get paid. Now they give you producers back in the day get anywhere from 2%, 2 points, which is 2%, 3 points, or 4 points was your high rate producers. But guess who percentage you get that off of? I'll wait. From the artist percentage. Everything comes out of the artist percentage, not the record label. And like I told y'all before, the artist only gets paid for 10 or 12 songs. I don't know, I don't remember when they would get released. So those could have been some of the songs probably wasn't even on or that the artist is getting paid for. So why would the artist pay you for songs that wasn't on there? You're throwing money away when they give you anything over 10 tracks or 12 tracks. But yet that's too deep for most of y'all. So I'm not even gonna go into that. Y'all go ask the artists and they'll tell y'all about that part of the game. But that's what's happening with that. You don't get no publishing if you didn't get the samples cleared in advance. Because if you put something out and then come to me later and say, oh, well, can I only give you this? No, I want 100% because you shouldn't have put it out. I should be pulling your stuff off the shelves, sending a cease and desist for using my copyright without my permission. It's how some artists, that's how Prince used to do it back in the day. That's why y'all notice a lot of people don't even take a chance using Prince music because his wife, when she wanted him to be in the children's stories and all that stuff, she would not let any of that music get done once he got control over it. And then he was arguing with Warner Brothers, so you definitely couldn't sample no Michael Jackson and Prince samples back in the day. It was hard to do. But I'm getting a little bit too deep for y'all. But yeah, Death Row ain't cut Johnny J a check yet from no lawsuit. So that was the estate. Once they got paid from Death Row and Interscope, they got their money. They had to go and settle up and pay out and make it right with Johnny J. Ask y'all groupie about that.
Can you speak a little bit about Nate Dogg's situation? Because I know his album was getting ready to come out on Death Row. I think there was a single, Never Leave Me Alone, with a video. And then there were even advertisements for the album, the full album, to come out. To this day, if you go on eBay or any of these, kind of online stores, you can find the Nate Dogg album pressed up, sealed up with the Death Row logo and all that stuff. Can you speak on what happened with his album, and then what happened with him leaving Death Row and why he left?
So yeah, what happened with Nate Dogg was, Nate Dogg somebody, I always say this, and then y'all say I diss him. But since Nate Dogg is somebody I really like, me and him we done had gunplay with niggas together. One of my security guard and him went to bat. They went with golf clubs and everything, and then they was whooping on those my boy Drayster and BG Knockout and them at a video shoot. I think it was Warren G. One of Def Jam. Might have been Montel Jordan video shoots. And so Nate Dogg was always cool, but Nate Dogg was a rider. I always give Big C Style and Trey D credit for being riders among that crew. And later a dude named Fabian and Lil C Style, forget about him and Swoop G. But my boy Nate Dogg was a rider. He was with it. You know. And so Nate Dogg, I think, just got tired of all the drama and all that, because we did the Never Leave Me Alone video shoot. I remember we did that at the Transit Center in LA. I was at that video shoot, kind of controlled that video shoot. Never Leave Me Alone. And we were marketing and doing it. It was a double CD. Eventually, well, we didn't put it out as a double. But Nate Dogg eventually had this dude named David Mystery from Breakaway Records. Y'all heard of Breakaway Records? He was making a little noise, because he was paying everybody. He ended up eventually working for me, still my friend to this day. But David Mystery, matter of fact, he's the one I went and started working for after I left Death Row, and helped me put out. It was his company that put out the Relative CD that I did. Guess what that album was called? Snoop Dogg Presents The Relatives. Oh my God. They hated that name too. But anyway, but so Nate Dogg went, and this dude, David Mystery, wanted him bad. And he was over there messing with David Mystery. And so I was like, all right, David, we're selling to you for $500,000. And with the packaging and everything. Because we ain't fucking with that nigga no more. We ain't putting it out. And he's like, well, I already got an album on him, but I'll make it a double. Y'all go look on the Breakaway Nate Dogg, and y'all see that Nate Dogg came out with a double CD on Breakaway Records. And that was the reason, and that it was a double. Shouldn't have been a double. He should have just made it a single with all the hits, but you know how artists fall in love with the music, and they couldn't decide which ones from the Death Row days he wanted to take off the album, and which ones of his new recordings he wanted to take off. And so they just made it a double. But we got an override on that album, and I know $500,000, and Nate Dogg signed off to being caught up on any monies or anything that was owed to him. So it was all cool with Nate Dogg. But that's the deal and the issue with Nate Dogg.
Yeah. 6-8 did an interview. We talked about if you were an engineer and you were working with Tupac, you better change the reels and do everything quick or you might get a beat down. Speaking of that, did you ever hear about incidents at the studio that involved staff? Not so much with artists and the homeboy people, but actual studio employees.
Well, like I said, that was their sanctuary. A lot of stuff that went back on there only came if the studio manager or something like that brought it to security, because they didn't go back there in the studio sessions. An engineer would have came and been snitching on one of them, he was gone. But it was usually the runners. People always get the engineers and the seconds mixed up. Like you always say Lance. Lance was a second. That guy that was talking a little bit, Tommy D, Dave, Aaron, Kirsten Wright, Rick Clifford, all of those was our engineers. Those were the regular engineers. And everybody had their favorites, their guys. But the ones and stuff like that was happening too, that people didn't really know the difference, were called second engineers. Those are the ones that did all the work for the engineers. And then your runners, those are the ones that go and get you your cigarettes, go and get you your hamburgers and your food runs and all of that, your liquor runs and all of that is what your runners did at the studio. And you had all of those three. Those were usually little young guys trying to grow up. They all probably, I bet you about 3 of those runners and 3 of those seconds are probably millionaires somewhere now because they had that training and because they were young, 22, 23-year-olds, and I bet you they now major engineers somewhere. All the guys that were those, and so that's who they was generally talking about. But your Tommy D, your Dave Aaron, Butch Small. Butch Small was really a percussion guy, but he was like a studio guy that gathered up everything. Somebody we trust dearly. Good dude from Detroit, Butch Small. But anyway, people like that, they didn't touch on them. They didn't mess with them because they were a different class, different level, different education. They carried themselves differently. When you get victimized like that, it's usually because they already know you. Small, I would say that. Okay, I'll say the word. Weak is the ones that usually get victimized like that. Because you victimize me or somebody that's normal, you might get us, but it ain't gonna stop there, I guarantee you. It ain't gonna stop right there. That's on everything, nigga.
And that was the second trip that you went to New York with Tupac on. Can you tell me about the first one when you went to do Saturday Night Live?
Correct. So, a couple of weeks or a week after All Eyes on Me was released, which was February 13th, 1996, Tupac, y'all know Saturday Night Live films live. We were the first guests that ever went to Saturday Night Live that didn't what? Show up the group dress rehearsal. They told us that. We didn't get there, or Pac just didn't go to dress rehearsal, which usually done on Thursdays. And I remember the producers at the after party telling us, y'all the first guests that never, showed up for rehearsal. But they wanted Pac that bad then. And so Pac and Danny Boy, and I think it was Big Cycle, one of them, they all went and performed and did a little song on there. Pac did a couple of little skits on there with a couple of the actors or actress. And so we went there that Saturday, filmed it. But prior to that, we were out in a hotel in upstate New York area, probably about an hour out. We normally stayed at either the X's house or the Four Seasons when we went to New York. But that particular night, we stayed out of the way. I'll put it that way. We did come in the city. We went to Benihana's. I remember Eric B., Hammer. I think Big D was there. Not 100% sure on that. But a couple of dudes from New York met us at Benihana's, and we went and ate at Benihana's in the New York area. And then we went back to the hotel. That night, though, I think that Saturday night is when the snowball incident happens, which don't like really speaking on. I done got to know Kendrick Wells lately. Kendrick's a good dude. You know, he kind of details it. He don't go into great details about it. He just say he don't want to talk about it. But he kind of tells how he didn't understand how people were bullying him and hitting on him on the elevator and stuff like that. And so I respect it and leave it there. But y'all done heard me tell the story about the snowball incidents, which I know is the reason that Kendrick and Mopreme got sent home. And they was no longer around after that incident. So yeah, that was New York trip. You know, some of y'all want to get mad for Pac allowing that to happen to Mopreme. I remember they not blood brothers. They half brothers or step brothers. And so, and Pac wasn't really trusting. Pac was on some, he trying to find out. He had just got rid of his whole team. Everybody didn't come over to Death Row with him. Y'all got to remember, he had a whole crew that was with him out in New York and stuff. And he wasn't trusting people like that then. And when he found out you was weak, he was getting rid of you. And I believe that's what happened. Not saying that they wouldn't have worked it out, because I know they probably would have. But that's what happened, y'all. Take it where you want. I'm the only one who can speak on stuff. Everybody else trying to protect relationships. Reggie just telling the facts because he's tired of people rewriting history.